Hello, I'm Sarah Eccleston and I lead Borderless Networks here in the UK and Ireland. I'm here today to talk about what's the difference between a network and a borderless network and how a Cisco Borderless Network can help our customers to embrace the BYOD phenomenon. Here at Cisco, we've been developing networks for over 25 years and we innovate and invest in that space with over $5.2 billion of R&D each year. Recently, much of that R&D has been reinvested back into our networking technologies in order to develop our networking space to meet three industry transitions which our customers are currently experiencing. And I'm going to go through those three industry transitions now. The first of those is the BYOD phenomenon. I'm yet to come across a customer who doesn't want to talk to us about what Cisco can do to help them in this space. But in case you're unconvinced, I'll share with you a few data points around the consumerization of mobile devices. First, let's look at Apple. When Apple first brought out the Apple iPhone 3 years ago, it took months for them to sell the first 1 million devices. A year and a half later, when they brought out the iPad, it took them only 27 days to sell the first 1 million devices. And then, not only about a year or so after that, Apple then brought out the iPhone 4S, and they sold 1 million of those devices in less than 1 day of it being available on pre-order. In other words, they weren't even for sale yet, and Apple had sold 1 million in a day. That's the exponential growth of these devices. And Gartner estimate that by 2015, we will actually have 7 devices on average per person. That may seem kind of unbelievable, but if you think that you may have perhaps a BlackBerry, let's say, and a laptop at work, and then you have a MacBook and an iPhone at home, you already have 4. So the idea that we'll have 7 devices in 3 years' time doesn't seem so unreasonable. This provides a challenge for our customers because how are they going to cope with all of these devices? The first thing the consumer does, or one of the first things that the consumer does when they buy that device, is they bring it to work. And they want to use it at work and they want to be productive with it at work as they are at home. We need to help our customers find a way of enabling this and enabling its secure use and its productive use as well. Similarly, these devices are an extension of a consumer's personality, i.e. they're all different. The applications that are loaded on them are all different. And whereas previously an IT organisation would mandate a device to an employee and mandate for, let's say, a laptop or a particular brand, they're not mandating these consumer devices and therefore they're not controlling them. So we also need to help our customers take back a little bit of control because without that control they can't secure its use. Enabling our customers to do this is something that a traditional network can't do, but a Cisco Borderless Network can. A traditional network typically supports the use of a single device, and it supports the use of a fixed device. So being able to enable this BYOD transition for our customers was the first requirement on us when we considered how could we develop our networks further. The second transition that's happening in the marketplace is in parallel with being able to work on any device, people now want to work anywhere. Workforces are increasingly mobile, and work is no longer a place that we come to, it's a thing that we do. People work in the office, they work in other offices, they work at home, they work in coffee shops. And we need to give them a way of staying connected as they change location. A traditional network doesn't do this. A traditional network requires that people keep continually VPN in and keep reconnecting to the corporate VPN with a username and a password every time they change location. If I give you the analogy of a mobile phone, can you imagine if every time you change location, you had to search for the network and reconnect into your corporate VPN with a password before you were allowed to make a phone call? You just wouldn't tolerate it, and yet we do it every day with our laptops. In the new way of working, this is not sustainable. And a traditional network doesn't enable us to move to this world where we can stay connected securely as we change location. But a Cisco Borderless Network does. The third big transition is video. Gartner, again, state that by 2014, 90% of the world's internet traffic will be video. Here at Cisco, 85% of our traffic already is. And you may say, well, we're not using corporate video. A customer may say, we don't want to use business video. And that may be true. But there's a couple of things to consider. 3 years ago, we didn't know what an iPad was. So in 3 years' time, we don't know what we'll be using video for. And we need to build networks that will sustain that future transition to video because that's what's being predicted. Typically, a customer will buy a LAN for 3 to 5 years. So we need to make sure that it's built to enhance, to be able to cope with those future predictions. Secondly, even if we're not using it for business video, it's quite possible that employees are still using it for video. YouTube is a massive video content provider, And in addition, if you think of the US, 25% of the US traffic, internet traffic, is Netflix. So even if a company isn't using business video in a way it may be one day or in a way that is being predicted, certainly video will be flooding that network. A traditional network only enables the prioritization of video over voice and data. It's been able to do this for a long time with the use of MPLS technologies and QoS. But that's not enough when 90% of your traffic is video. We need to be able to prioritize some video over another video. For example, let's say here at Cisco, John Chambers wants to issue a video to all employees to give us some important company information. That is a Cisco employee creating video content on a Cisco network. Now let's say that in August, when we run Olympics 2012, here in Cisco we also want to have a look at some of the races. Maybe we want to watch some of those Olympic events. That's a Cisco employee creating video traffic on a Cisco network. We have to have a means of prioritizing John's traffic over the other employee's traffic, perhaps. Or we have to have a means of prioritizing that business critical video over the other consumer video. So we need to give organizations a means of setting a policy about what's the prioritization of video traffic and then enabling that and effecting that in the network to prioritize the business critical video. A traditional network doesn't enable this, but a Cisco Borderless Network does. So I'll explain how a Cisco Borderless Network enables those three transitions in a way that a traditional network does not. First, let's go back to BYOD. In the BYOD space, we've really holistically innovated in two main ways. The first way is we've created context-aware security. Context-aware security is nothing more than knowing who you are, where you are, and what device you're on, and being able to make a security policy decision based on all of those factors. We've done this through the creation of the ISE, the Identity Services Engine. For example, it might say, okay, I'm Sarah, I'm here in a Cisco office and I'm on my iPad, so I'm allowed to do X, Y, Z. But if I'm Sarah, on the same device but in Starbucks, perhaps I'm only allowed to do X and Y. Maybe we want to say that if I, Sarah, am in the same Starbucks but I'm on a corporate provided laptop, maybe I can do X, Y, Z again. We have to be able to provide a means of accessing different data and applications based on a decision of who you are, where you are, and what device you're on. And that is done through the ISE. We've also got the advantage at Cisco that we provide the wired and the wireless networks as well as the security in that network. So what we've been able to enable is unified access. Unified access is the means by which you set that policy once. And whether a user accesses on the fixed network or on the wireless network, that policy is set. We enforce it regardless of the modes of access, because we are both of those modes of access. The second thing that we've done to enable BYOD is we've made some developments in our mobility network. Most customers now have a wireless network, even though in many instances it's been used either for guest access or a convenience only. Because in the old days, if we were to come in and bring our laptops into work, we'd use the wireless network, and if it wasn't fast enough or it wasn't reliable, we would simply plug the Ethernet cable into that device instead. But we can't plug the Ethernet cable into a smart mobile device like an iPad because it doesn't have an Ethernet port. So we have to make that mobility network as fast and as reliable as we've become used to. Especially because even here at Cisco, we believe that within 3 years, 50% of connectivity will be wireless, which is a big statement for a company like Cisco, who's previously been in the switching market, the fixed switching market, for many years. So we've really had to develop this mobility space to make it as fast and reliable. First of all, we've released a new AP, the 3600. The New York Times recently reported that Apple are on target to sell 8 million iPads this quarter. Every one of those 8 million iPads will be 25% faster on a Cisco wireless network than on any other network by using the AP 3600. In addition to making it faster, we've made it more reliable. We've released things like Client Link. Client Link is a way of directional communication. And Clean Air, which is a way of mitigating around sources of RF interference which we're able to locate and mitigate around so that they don't affect the performance of the wireless network. Based on the prolific growth of those mobile devices which I talked about at the beginning, we've also had to really beef up the capability and the capacity of this wireless network. So we've enhanced our wireless LAN controllers to be able to now control up to 30,000 devices and 3,000 APs from one wireless LAN controller, thus enabling us to really scale up to the amount of mobile devices that are expected to grow, make it faster and make it more reliable, so that these mobile devices can be used in the same way and as reliably and quickly as fixed devices have been in the past. So through the provision of context-aware security and the enhancements to the mobility network, this is how we at Cisco are enabling the BYOD transition. Let's go back to the second transition, how we enable people to work anywhere and stay connected wherever they are. Here at Cisco, we've done this with the development of AnyConnect. AnyConnect is a client that sits on those devices, including the Apple iPad, the Apple MacBook, your laptops, etc. And it keeps you connected as you change location. It's a little bit like a duck swimming along the water. As a user, you don't experience any of the change, you simply log on and you stay connected as you change location without having to do anything manually. Under the water, swimming along into the duck like crazy, as it's keeping you reconnected, keeping you authenticated, knowing when you're trying to do something on an intranet and keeping you connected and authenticating that access for you. So this really enables you to stay connected to a corporate VPN securely in this increasingly mobile world. And it allows it on any device of your choice. So it's really in parallel with the mobile device phenomenon also. The third transition is the video. And here at Cisco, we've enabled that with the development of MediaNet. MediaNet is the means by which we can prioritize some users' video traffic over others, or some video applications over others, or some video devices over others. And in addition to that, we're helping our customers lower the OPEX of the prolific growth in these IP video devices, like telepresence, video conferencing, IP CCTV cameras, etc. Rather than have to throw banks of IT people at constantly configuring all of those devices, MediaNet enables those devices to connect to the network. The network knows what that device is, it knows what configuration it needs, it knows what its requirements in terms of bandwidth, etc. are, and it automatically provisions those. So not only are we enabling the prioritization of the content from those devices, but we're enabling the quicker and easier and lower cost configuration of all those devices that are going to be creating that video traffic also. So in summary then, a traditional network doesn't support those three transitions, but a borderless network does. The development of context-aware security through the Identity Services Engine and through NCS, which enables the unified access provisioning of that context-aware security, plus the enhancements to the mobile network, which have enabled BYOD, AnyConnect, which enables us to stay connected wherever we are, in addition to whatever device we're on, and the developments of MediaNet, which enable us to then deploy video and use video and prioritize video in a world where almost all the internet traffic, 90% of it, will be video. And that's the difference between a network and a Cisco Borderless Network. Thank you.